guy.
We're live. Let's go. Bring in the energy. Yeah.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Holy crap.
Still
All right,
talking
man, what are we
about
covering today?
tariffs on Tuesday.
I think we're done with tariffs, aren't we?
No, you sent an article and you were like, we should talk about this. And it was like,
That's right. Yeah,
Right.
we're going to talk about this company called IRG. They had a plant recycling. They were going to build a plant for recycling plastics in Erie. No more. They can't. The fundraising fell apart. We're going to cover that, how that's going to impact sustainability, how that's going to impact plastics recycling, and some of the other fallout that's coming along with that. That's going to impact packaging. Yeah, we are coming in hot.
That's right, Hugh.
Especially Cory. He's looking especially good today.
I feel good.
that Cory Connors so hot right now.
I worked out, so can't you tell? So
Then we're going to unpack. I got this new Pantone kit. Just arrived. Want to unbox this. I think I'm going to be let down, but we're going to do it anyway.
that's how we met, Evelio, if I recall.
That is exactly how we met.
And we need to hear that story.
Pantone
Not
books.
now.
That is how we met. I think I posted a color reference and how it's going to be different on different materials. And you're like, oh yeah, there's this swatch book for craft corrugate.
Yeah.
You know, I had a fun challenge for our community.
And then and then Cory's like, hey, you've got, I
had an extra book for flexo printing on the different materials, white and craft and number 1 white, number 3 white. And I said, hey man, I'll send it to you. And he's like, okay. And then now we're BFF. Sorry, Adam.
That's right. I got one of these. I got it right here. This is it. Flexo color guide.
You're BFF too, Adam.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. It shows you the colors on brown and on white and what that looks like. Now, this is not a Pantone color, but it still, gives you reference to color. So that was super, super helpful. And even has like this cool little, thing you can go like this.
For hot dogs.
Super cool.
It's also a thumb wrestling book for kids.
Oh, that's a good question, Matt. Those swatch books are very expensive. I got that one from a ink company. They just had an extra one. It's a Mewtwo. Yeah, that's right, Chris.
Exactly.
So once we get to 100,000 followers, I think that we should all just get a Pantone swatch like tattooed on our arm. Okay. But it's not a Pantone color. It's just flesh.
I beat you to it. I got that already.
Yeah. No, you won't.
It's on my lower back.
That would be amazing. Just
in the middle of a butterfly.
Yeah. With a tribal design. Did you get it while you were on spring break in Cancun?
Yeah, for sure. And I had my hair braided. It was super cool.
Where you grew up.
He still has the beads.
I'll tell you what. When I was in the Marines, a buddy of mine, like this is back when there was like MTV Spring Break, and it was in Lake Havasu, I think. So we're like, it was going on TV, and we're like, dude, let's just go. We had like a day or two off. So we like drove all the way up there. It was like 6-7 hour drive. We get there, town is empty. And they're like, that was last week. I'm like, dude, but spring break is now. They're like, yeah, they record that stuff a week before.
Oh no.
That's before Google. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like here. It's that. So I'm opening this box.
He's pretty sure it says love in Chinese, but hasn't confirmed it. Just took the tattoo artist's word for it.
Exactly.
Are you going to unbox this, or are we going to talk about the story? What are we doing first?
Well, like this is not the easiest thing to open, but you can open it this way and slide it out, or you can go and open it the other way, but I'm not going to do it. That's silly. Oh, okay. That's a little bit better.
Box.
Yeah, but they can't. This is folding. This is like a 300 GSM. It's not like 14 points. An auto lock bottom.
Can they not just make the box to ship and retail? Come on, Pantone.
Come on, Pantone.
No.
Why?
Because it'd be corrugated. Nobody likes a corrugated box for product.
Whoa, easy.
Put a litho lamp on it.
But no, because then by the time it shows up to my house after it's been through the mail system, it'll be disgusting.
Yeah, why? Just print it digitally.
Yeah. So see, plus they've got the barcode on your, this is for like the uncoated, coated. So
nobody buys the Pantone book for the packaging, which is ironically funny. Nobody is like, I'm keeping my Pantone packaging.
Well, let's see. What does it say? Printed in the United States.
Is that pink the color of the year?
I don't think so.
What's the color this year?
I thought it was like poop brown or something. Is it like mocha or I don't remember.
Oh,
corrugated brown.
Even though these should have the same exact colors because there's a coated and an uncoated version, you can obviously tell that one is shorter than the other. So, and then they just fill it with more corrugated.
I like corrugated. That's cool.
I don't like corrugated too. Everyone go block and report that joker on TikTok.
Those guys are the worst.
Yeah.
So super. I can like catch flies with this.
Chopsticks.
Oh,
yeah. But this is like a super simple, down and dirty insert that serves a purpose. I know like I do a ton of structural packaging, and sometimes the simplest solution.
Can you take down Hugh's butterfly comment? It's been up there for this entire time.
I think we should leave it up the whole show. I mean, it's perfect.
Sorry, Hugh. Adam hates you.
I do hate Hugh.
All right, so actually the uncoated is bigger. I wonder why. That's weird.
Thicker material, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking about. Why would it be?
Is there more options? Yeah.
Have you ever seen the studies done?
Says replace your guide every 12 to 18 months. Spend $500 every 12 to 18 months.
Is that how much they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been people who have done X-Rite readings on Pantone books right when they're taken out and found that they have a pretty wide delta range on the print, which is interesting. I don't know. Evelio, maybe you can answer this because you are a little bit more into design than us, but I don't ever, when somebody says like, this is the Pantone color that I want, I don't ever take them at their word because I don't know if they're looking on a screen. I don't know if they're using an old Pantone book. I'm always like, send over what the color is, because a lot of damage is done when people are just like, I just like this Pantone color, and they're looking at it on an uncoated stock instead of a coated stock, or we're going to put a matte lamb over the top of it. And it's like
add a lot of time to the process.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I do is
do what they want, right? Like,
no, I mean, what I do is once I receive a PMS color on a file, and usually it's like they'll label something. They'll put like a swatch on the side, and there'll be color. Let's say there's red on a box. They'll say this red should be PMS 185. But if I actually click into the file, it doesn't translate to that because Adobe has removed Pantone from there. And people for some reason still don't know how to add that and make it work. So then you've got to go in, you got to swap out all the artwork, make sure you make swatches, all that stuff. But in terms of a color, we go straight to proofing. All right, and this is 185. We may go light and dark, so give them a range, and then you get like a color range book, so they can approve either between light and the standard or the standard and the dark, right? So you can narrow down that color. But in terms of the swatch book, I just heard like a UFO coming by.
No, that was me. It was just Randolph, my neighborhood UFO stuff. Yep. No, we're good. We're good. We don't need pest control.
Yeah. Sorry. So in terms of what the color looks like in their book, that's part of the early conversations. Like, look, whatever you've got in your book, I don't know how old it is. I don't know when it printed versus my book. They're going to be different. But when you order an ink from a Pantone certified person, then the ink is actually just a combination of colors, and it's not necessarily going to be what's in their book or my book, which sounds completely wrong, but it's how we do. That's what happens.
I do want to talk about that story, but I'm going to see if I can pull up this image to show. Is it going to work? No, it's not. So I had this. I was going to pull it up on here. Maybe you can see it on my screen. But this was I was printing labels, and let's see. Hang on.
Were you at Sticker Fest
on this side, right here? This was the label. This is the label print without the lamb, and then we put a matte laminate on it, and that's how much it changed the color, right? So it's so important.
But this book doesn't show lamination.
No,
right?
I know, but the problem was that the company was like, we like this color. It's like, okay, well, in order to get to that color, and it was a digital print, it's like we have to go in and physically change the color because they're just putting the Pantone color on it, understandably, and not knowing there's a matte soft touch overlam, which is completely, it's putting a lot of opacity to how you view it, right? So the point I'm trying to make is like, just having a Pantone book does not mean that you're going to definitely get those Pantone colors.
Be there for the press check. Yeah,
for sure. The one thing I get a lot of is we're printing on uncoated. But man, I really like how sharp the color is on the coated book. You got to explain, coating versus uncoated to the client, and kind of like the issue, how it absorbs more of the ink and it's a little flatter on the uncoated, and how the coated one just sits on top of the clay coating, so it's sharper. And they're like, yeah, that's great. I like this color better than the other one.
More red.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, but if you're speccing a coated color on an uncoated sheet, completely doable.
Yeah,
it just becomes a custom color now, right? It's the same thing as if we're going to laminate this with soft touch or matte lam or gloss lam. We want this color. That process becomes longer because now you've got to print a variety of different shades of this thing, let it dry back, apply the lamination, which is a few day process in terms of letting this dry back and going through the process. And then you see what that color looks like, right? So you can achieve it. It's just a lot more work. And a lot of times they're not necessarily willing to pay for it, or they have the time to do it.
And also, nobody cares. I mean, like the customers don't. Your customers do not care. It makes zero difference on sales. I don't know how to tell anybody that more clearly, but if it's a tiny shade off from what it is that you want, but it's still directionally the same color, your customers are still going to buy it.
If it's orange, it's orange, right? Yeah.
Like like Matt Burns mentions his uncle working at X-Ray and how they had to fine tune the colors of the orange juice on the label to match the products inside, right? Like that happens a lot.
I was on a press check and somebody asked me to make they were like, can you make the clouds more joyful? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like literally it's just like, the clouds just feel sad. We need to inject a little bit more joy. And I'm like, do you want more cyan? I don't know. We can't.
Yeah, we're on press. We're on press now.
We're on press. Like, you can't. Yeah, like Chris is saying, like, I just need you to make it pop. It's like, we need subjective information right now. Not.
I had a customer that had a hall of shame of all the different oranges that they had produced for their packaging over the years, because they had a really tough time with color management on their packaging. And I thought it was really interesting how many different shades of orange their packaging had been. It was their main color.
Were they doing really well with was their sales doing well?
Just okay.
Oh, I thought Matt was saying that they had to adjust the color of the juice on the labels. He's saying no, they had to adjust the actual juice.
Oh, gross.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's add a little more magenta to this
red color 5. Yeah.
Actually, when I talk in May at the InfoFlex at for the flexographic, yes, the whitest white. I'm actually going to talk about the study that was done on Coke Red and what people thought was actually Coke Red. Over 1,000 people took place in this, and it was a Delta 8 away from what Coke said is Coke Red. So the point is, that's the point I'm going to make, is like, we obsess over color and color standards and color correctness when it comes to print. Right. Our customers do not. And you can waste a lot of time, and you can waste a lot of money, and you can waste a lot of material trying to dial in something that in the end won't actually drive sales positively or negatively. That's my greater point.
Unless you're going through a new run, you're changing suppliers, then it becomes a matter of matching what's already existing on shelf, right? Sure. You don't want to have like orange and then like a brownish color for your new run or your old run.
Right.
Yeah, but again, if it's within like a Delta 4 on a readout, you're probably all right. I mean, you know what I mean? But there's brands who are like, we need to be within a 1.5 of this, and it's like that doesn't, the amount of work that's going to be required to go through that, to me at least, is.
But that's the difference between a brand that cares about every single detail. And it's not necessarily for us to say, hey, that doesn't matter as much. Your customers don't care. Dude, I know when I worked with Elon's team, it was like zero. There was anything that varied at any range, wherever it was on the pack, whether it was color, position, wrap, like anything was out, and I remember it's unreasonable, but
remember you talking about, Evelio, how materials can look different in different parts of the country and in different parts of the world, and with different sunlights and different lighting too. So you could nail the color where you are, and then you ship it across the country, and it's outside.
Just in different rooms.
Yeah,
if I look at color in my room versus your room, it's gonna look different. So that's the other thing too. And mostly when you're working with a client and you're sending them samples, they typically don't have like D50 lighting or anywhere that they can actually check lighting. It's just wherever they're in. If they're in an office, they've got fluorescent lights, they've got tint on their windows, they've got blue light coming from their computer screens. It changes everything pretty quick.
Yeah,
I think. But to your point, and to Hugh, in terms of the white is white, like having, I did a paper trade show on the podcast a couple of years ago, and that was like depending on where you are in the world, the white paper that they're doing is going to change in color. So it was like if you were near Greece and like Italy in that range, your whites are going to have more of a blue tint, right? And then if you're like in the south,
spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have more of a yellow tint. And that was just because of the amount of sunlight that you're getting in that area and how that impacts everything else. So it was pretty interesting.
I was trying to change the title of my LinkedIn live from Can Tariffs Kill Recycling? I apologize if you're watching this and you're like, I thought we were going to talk about recycling. But all you guys have been talking about is, it's all right. I just look like a liar. Which
that's fine.
It's fine.
That's not wrong.
But there was an article that we don't have to get into too much that I do think is important.
We'll cover it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I promise I won't lie. And I'm sure that Evelio will come in with something like, hey, I know we were going to talk about that, but instead let's talk about window patching on folding cartons. Good idea or not? Dang it! I already set up the
exactly.
Is your red really red? Right.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So let us know any questions you got. Do us a favor. If you are watching on YouTube, even if you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and then subscribe, comment over there. If you have any questions on color, or if you guys have bad examples of color, would love to see those. Adam?
Nope.